Perfect. Looks like we got everyone here. So I'm going to call to order the Saturday, January 30th special goal meeting to order. Let's begin with a roll call. Commissioner Douglas.
Here.
Commissioner Perush.
Here.
Commissioner Hunt.
Here.
Commissioner Colo.
Here.
Commissioner Macy.
Here.
Commissioner Dubak.
Here.
And Mike Fournier, Mayor, I'm here as well from Royal Oak. I presume everyone else is dialing in from Royal Oak. Anybody that isn't?
I'm dialing in from Detroit.
From Detroit, okay. Commissioner Hunt's dialing in from Detroit. You can tell how old we are. I'm saying the word dial in. I'm not sure what we say. Zooming in or, videoing in.
Yep. Correction, videoing in from Detroit.
Okay. No, I said dial in, so I set you up.
No, actually, she's beaming in.
So first of all, it's a Saturday morning, and certainly many thanks to everybody who is participating this morning from the commission, but also for staff. I know we all have family obligations and other things that, keep us busy, and just very grateful for everyone to be here today. I'm also very grateful for James Vetrino. He's here to help facilitate and moderate today's session. For those of you who don't know Mr. Vetrino, he has been and was helpful in finding our city manager search. He's got experience as a former city manager. And he's also working with us today to help us go through this, and he's helping us in our search for a permanent city attorney. So we're happy to have him here today to walk us through, keep us on track, and make sure we do the best use of our time. I don't know how you guys feel, but the chair I have in my makeshift office here is not the most comfortable. So if we don't have to stay here for 12 hours, I think we'd all prefer that. So James, your task is strong and hard today. So our first order of business is public comment. Ms. Schwanger, I don't know how we're going to handle public comment today, but I'll hand it over to you so we can hear from our friends and neighbors about today's session and some of the goals and ideas that they have.
Mayor Fournier and members of the City Commission, we are handling public comment just like we do at every City Commission meeting. So I will be sharing my screen and playing the one public comment that we received regarding the goal setting.
Thank you, Ms. Schwanger.
Welcome.
Janice Wagman, updating last year's strategic goals and objectives. Under goal number 1, complete the Civic Center project. You need to address the $1.8 million budget shortfall for the downtown park. And what cuts will need to be made, or will it sadly be like Normandy Oaks and require a staged development? Goal number 2, operations. Given the unknown impact of the pandemic on the city's budget once it is no longer artificially bolstered by federal funds, I suggest putting a freeze on filling any new positions, including those mentioned at the last commission meeting by our city manager. Goal number 3, communication. The new buzzword in government is equity. At every strategic meeting for the last 4 years, I've been begging you to improve senior communication methods. I have repeatedly stated, and Commissioner Douglas is well aware, many seniors will not be served by using technological solutions like the city's website and Facebook. Insight Magazine and the senior newsletter are drafted weeks prior to publication and therefore cannot provide current or breaking information to our seniors. No one could have predicted the pandemic, but it should have highlighted the absolute need to develop an accurate senior database for future communications. Communication equity for many of our seniors is non-existent. Goal 8, sustainability, stormwater utility and greenhouse gas emissions. As one of the residents who had 2 feet of sewage in their basement during the 2014 flood, I would love for the city to prevent future occurrences. Unfortunately, OHM, the stormwater utility planner who received $250,000 of our taxpayer dollars, confirmed on more than one occasion the new plan would not prevent that from happening and also would have a negligible effect on the amount of typical stormwater runoff. However, it would greatly increase the charges to low water users, clubs, businesses, churches, and schools especially, while benefiting places like Beaumont. Now you are suggesting another plan through the EAB. How much will this cost the taxpayer? How much impact will it really have on greenhouse gas emissions? Will it be comparable to the negligible impact of the storm water plan? And could it have similar unintended consequences? Addressing these issues should be limited to changing building codes for new construction only and decreasing high-density development until, at a minimum, regional plans are implemented for both of these sustainability goals. Otherwise, you are penalizing the taxpayers of Royal Oak for negligible results. Janice?
That concludes the public comment, which was called in last evening. I will tell you that Ms. Wegman was in the audience here today. I'm not sure if she is still in the audience. You will also note that anyone who doesn't have their video on is not going to show on the screen. So for all the participants, if you have your video turned off, you will not show up on the screen for the mayor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Schwanger. This brings us to item 4, which is the approval of the agenda, which is a pretty robust agenda as far as items are concerned, joking aside. Commissioner Colo.
I move approval of the agenda.
A motion by Commissioner Colo. Is there a second? A second by Commissioner Macy. All right. Any discussion on this agenda item? All right. With none, I'll call for the vote. Commissioner Douglas?
Yes.
Commissioner Prush?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt?
Yes.
Commissioner Macy?
Yes.
Commissioner Dubak?
Yes.
Commissioner Colo?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Okay, we have an agenda. So, opening up our discussion for the purpose of today, the fiscal year 2021-2022 City Commission goal setting. I'm not sure if I hand this over to Paul or James, but I'll hand it to you guys to kick it off and keep these cats organized.
Yeah, I will forward that to James. That'll help facilitate the process today.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you, Mayor. First, I appreciate everybody's attending this morning. I think we have everyone that was invited and expected to be here. So that's a great start to our Saturday. The pre-Zoom caution to everybody. Have experience in doing this, but this is my first Zoom. So go easy, not my first Zoom, my first Zoom goals and objectives. Hopefully we've got all the bugs worked out, but please be patient as we work through this new format. I really appreciate the opportunity both to learn from everyone on the screen today and hopefully get you to a place several hours from now that you can take whatever we do today and implement, or at least take the next steps to implement for your 21-22 fiscal year. So there's a couple thoughts I'd like to share first. We're going to be using Google Sheets during this facilitated meeting, and don't worry, you don't need to know much about it if you haven't used it. We will get very comfortable with it. We will also be breaking out into teams through Zoom, so smaller groups, which will be much easier to talk through than a group of 22 all trying to turn on and off mute at the same time. Both of those tools, if anyone has any issues at any time, please use the chat in the side. So I would encourage everyone, if you don't have your chat on, to go ahead on the bottom and click chat. It's a really great tool for us to be able to communicate things while someone else is talking, particularly if there's technical issues or if I want to get a message out to everyone when we're in our groups, because those groups you will still be able to see the chats across groups, even though you'll be separated. So in goal setting and team building, or at least goal setting, you're always supposed to have an icebreaker to open, and there are terrible icebreakers online if you search it up for Zoom, like the worst things you've ever wanted to participate in. So I've bypassed some of that, but what I would like us to do to get engaged first is we're going to by alphabetical order. So, you know, you guys got to put your brain on and go A, B, C, D, and then start from the beginning when we get to the letter P, because that's how I do it, to figure out who's next to, you don't necessarily introduce yourself. I think we're all familiar with each other on the call, but I'd like to know what you're drinking now. And, you know, I was going to say where you'd rather be, but I knew staff would say they'd rather be with city commission on a Saturday, and the city commissioners would say they'd rather be with staff. So we're going to go your favorite vacation place. We're going to buzz through this pretty quick. It's just a way to make sure our mics are working, our screens, our videos working, and we're all engaged, and that we know our alphabet. And so the chief knows what everybody's drinking. So what you're drinking right now and your favorite vacation place is a little test run through to see if we're all engaged. And it's alpha order. So Paul, you get off easy.
So it's by last name?
Ah.
Okay, all right. So I'm up first, Paul Brake. Glad to be here. What am I drinking in my Detroit Tigers cup? I'm drinking Jamaica Me Crazy. So probably my favorite vacation spot is La Jolla, California, which is actually, it's part of San Diego coastal area, and it's beautiful, and I'd like to go back. So.
All right, I think I'm up. Jason Craig. Drinking water right now. It's early, so water is how I'm going to start. And my favorite vacation place is Myrtle Beach. We usually go there with our family around Easter. So fingers crossed we'll get to do it this year.
You're muted, Judy.
I think I might be ahead of Judy. Dave Cummins drinking coffee. Depending on how this go, we'll see what we add into the next cup. And my favorite vacation place is St. Lucia.
She's still talking, I think. There you go.
Yeah. My favorite vacation spot, I'm not drinking anything right now. And my favorite vacation spot is Rome, Italy.
Coffee with a splash of cream. And my favorite vacation was to Jamaica for our honeymoon. Many other places I'd like to travel first, though, to go back.
So I read somewhere that if you blow across the top of your mug, people will think you're drinking hot tea instead of wine. But actually, I am drinking coffee. And my favorite vacation place is the next one, which, God willing and COVID permitting, will be northern France to visit the World War II battlefields and go to the French Open.
I think that's me. Drinking a large coffee. I don't know about favorite, but I think the most memorable vacations I've ever had was when we went to Hawaii. It was just, you know, it feels cliche, but it's cliche because it's so mind-blowingly beautiful everywhere you look, and it's like burned in my brain. How strikingly gorgeous that place is.
I think that's me next. Not drinking anything at the moment. Favorite vacation spot is St. Augustine, Florida.
Good morning. I'm drinking Starbucks French Roast. Hopefully that'll get me through the next 20 minutes. And my favorite vacation place is Key West, Florida.
Good morning. I'm drinking a DPS house blend coffee here. Might sound lame, but one of my favorite vacation places is Port Austin, Michigan. Close to home, but far enough away.
I think I'm next in the line of Fs. You know, people accuse me of drinking the Royal Oak Kool-Aid, how much we love our city. I do drink that a lot. We have a great city, but I am drinking out of a Spartan mug today. some very inexpensive coffee. And I'd say the best place or the best vacation, frankly speaking, I think my own backyard, hanging out with my kids with the beer fridge and the barbecue, and just from playing basketball to taking a dip in the pool, playing volleyball, just having fun. That's really where I think I've enjoyed some of the best times.
Good morning, I'm Melanie Hallis. Right now I'm drinking coffee, and my favorite vacation spot is actually on my wall, but it's cut off, Costa Rica. So can't wait to go back.
Morning. Right now, I am drinking coffee. And my favorite vacation spot so far is Athens, Greece.
Okay, I think I may be next. So I'm currently drinking coffee, although I want whatever Chief Cummings is having next in his second cup also. And my favorite vacation spot is also going to be our next vacation that we booked on New Year's Eve because we just can't wait. We're going on a cruise in 2022 and stopping at a bunch of amazing islands in the Caribbean. I don't care where, we're just going somewhere. So that's my new favorite.
Hi, this is Julie Lyons Bricker. I am drinking out of a vintage Royal Oak Animal Shelter mug, coffee, and I'm going to go the same route as Aaron and give a Michigan-centric vacation place, and that is the Keweenaw Peninsula on the west side, watching sunsets on Lake Superior.
Okay, it's my turn. So I have both water and Nespresso over here to keep me going this morning. My favorite vacation spot with my husband is France. And if we're bringing the 3 kids along, my favorite vacation spot is North Carolina. We go there pretty frequently with my parents and my sister's family.
I'm Joseph Murphy. My cup does not runneth over currently. I'm not as glamorous as most of you. My favorite place to go to is Marquette. It reminds me of home, even though I'm not from there.
Corey O'Donoghue. I'm drinking coffee like a lot of people. Like Melanie, our favorite vacation spot with the family is Outer Banks, North Carolina. We go there every year, and it's the best week of the year by far. So.
I'm Pat Perush. I think I'm next. I'm drinking very strong black tea, which is my morning beverage of choice. I'm not a coffee drinker. Favorite vacation spot is any place with a beach close to water, whether it's up north or whether it's down south. Our family was all raised close to the water. We're all big swimmers. We're all big underwater divers. My brother runs a ferry in North Carolina, Chief O'Donoghue, you may have run into him. Any place close to water, I'm very happy.
Good morning. I think I'm next. I'm Julie Rudd. I'm drinking water, and my favorite place to vacation is Central UP in the wintertime.
I think I must be next. I got water and coffee, so I'm kind of double fisting it this morning. Given that it's about 9 degrees outside when I got up this morning, I'm going to go with Aruba as my favorite place to be.
Tim takes vacation. All right. We learned.
I guess I'm next. Good morning, Dennis Randlar. I am also drinking coffee with I think probably maybe a very fitting slogan for the day, perhaps. I don't know if you can read that, but the best is yet to come, right? Favorite vacation spot? I'm going to give you a very sweet answer, which is basically wherever my family goes.
All right. I am so impressed with our alpha order. You guys are phenomenal. I'm James Petrino. I'll help facilitate today. My favorite vacation, I'm drinking water, post already having coffee. Favorite vacation spot is Ocean City, New Jersey. So our next item on the agenda, or the mini agenda that we have underneath point 5, is just a recognition of the work that the commission did and a short discussion. Maybe I'd ask Julie and Shar to jump in, but all of you had filled out, all commissioners that is, filled out a survey regarding the foundation's priorities for the coming year. And those results were tabulated. Thank you for everyone's participating and shared with the commission. So staff will be well engaged in the rest of the day, but for the moment, I'd ask if commissioners wanted to share anything that they observed or would like to add now that you've seen each other's results out of that survey. So, you know, you filled out the Google form, but you filled it out in a vacuum. You gave your priorities. Now you're able to see your peers in a written document that was attached to the agenda. And I just wanted to allow you an opportunity. The summary document is really well done, and it kind of puts points underneath broader themes that can be shared with the foundation. But I will pause and actually defer to either Julie or Shar, since they were the ones that led the request and tabulated the information.
I'm going to hand it to Julie, and I will provide color commentary as necessary.
Okay, great. So thank you, Mayor. Thank you, commissioners, for filling out the survey. We really appreciate it. This helps us understand some of the priorities and needs in the community for our future work this year. As you can see in the survey, vulnerable population rose to the top with 8 votes, with Parks and Rec in second place and sustainability in third place. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but would ask you to, like James said, now that you have a chance to see what your peers have answered, does anything change with your descriptions, your answers, your responses? In any of the categories, not necessarily just the top 3.
I can no longer remember which ones were mine. I like the way it shook out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, if there are no additions or changes, we can just move on and say that this summary will go to the trustees of the Royal Oak Civic Foundation for their next meeting for review. And then there's potential that we will open up this same kind of questioning to the community so that, you know, in all of our work, we have transparency and inclusion, and then see how the community answers these same questions, and then start formulating what our strategy is for the coming year. As always, feel free to reach out to me if you have any additions later on. If you think of something you forgot to add in, or you've changed your mind about a vote, I'm more than happy to make the adjustments. And thank you very much to Commissioner Douglas for putting this summary together. I think she did a great job.
Hey, Julie, I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry if I see if Commissioner Macy was raising her hand also.
Okay, go ahead. I have a question too.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I noticed that the animal shelter and Centennial both have numbers listed, like animal shelters 2, Centennial has 1, but I didn't see any responses. So I just assumed that there's something to summarize from that, and there's some work to be done though.
So I did the compilation here, and in both of those cases, respondents just said animal shelter. They didn't provide any comment. So I counted their animal shelter vote, but didn't have any text to add.
Great, thank you, Commissioner Douglas.
Yeah, and likewise for the Centennial, the answer was celebrate the Centennial. So,
can I ask, Ms. Linesberger, so on this list, is there anything that actually doesn't belong on here? Is there anything that the ROCF can't address? I'm just curious. Like, I kind of felt like I was throwing darts at a wall when I was saying things that I was interested in, and I wasn't sure if this is all covered in the mandate of that body.
Yeah, so Commissioner Macy, I would have to go through it and look at each bullet point, but off the top of my head, one that came in by multiple people, which is very important, is attainable, affordable housing, except that's not really in the scope of the Royal Oak Civic Foundation. So actually, and that's a great segue for these answers to also be considered by you all as you're thinking of the strategy for our goals and objectives. I hope that's helpful.
So, Ms. Weinsberger, we haven't really tipped the commission off as to the announcement that we're going to be rolling out here in the coming week or so, right?
Oh, yes.
Are we able to queue up that video? Did we resolve that question? We talked about it internally.
I don't think we did. It is scheduled to go live on Monday the 1st on YouTube.
I mean, if we can't share a video, I don't know how we could make that work if I need at any rate. So the foundation is going to announce very shortly a GoFundMe campaign to raise funds for 3 food insecurity charities. We've received a $16,000 donation from Robertson Homes. They're contributing $200 per home that they're building out at Normandy Oaks to the foundation. And so we are going to take $7,500 of that donation and use that to match up to $7,500 raised through a GoFundMe campaign for Blessings in a Backpack, the Open Hands Pantry, and the Salvation Army food program. So we've produced a video that will be coming out shortly, and we'll announce that campaign, and then we'll have those 3 charities obviously push out the news of it through their own channels and their own connections to get people to contribute to this program that can ultimately raise $15,000 to directly address food insecurity in our community, very consistent with the priorities that our commissioners have independently told us they favor.
Great, thank you for that. So
someone
Melanie,
says, is it literally oh, Melanie, is it literally GoFundMe? Don't they take a cut? They do, but it's a easy platform for people to use. And in fact, we modeled it on the fundraising effort we did here a couple of years ago for Eagle Park. It's just, sometimes you use the tools that you have available to you that make it easy for people to give, and GoFundMe makes it easy. And the city already had an account set up that we could use.
Okay, any other questions or any other items you have, Commissioner Douglas?
I see Commissioner DeBuck.
Yeah, I'm just curious if we've talked any further about raising funds into the foundation by leveraging our logo on merchandise. And we talked, I think, a couple years ago about letting that be one of the tools they use for fundraising. And just for example, I have 2 friends in the last couple weeks I've seen with Royal Oak, Michigan shirts, but not our logo. They paid $45 for them at Funky 7. And if we were to produce shirts like that and allow our local retailers to sell them, 20,000 shirts at a $10 profit, 2,000 shirts at a $10 profit, right? It's 20 grand. So it's going to get us as much money as a GoFundMe.
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
Stickers, window stickers, all that stuff. You're right, Commissioner DeBuck.
We did talk about it a little bit in passing, and I think I was probably the one advocating for it. So we'll put that into our parking lot as something to consider. I like the idea, and I think the foundation is the natural place to handle that.
Sure.
Yeah. I also echo that, and I like the idea of having more swag out there in the community. I think people are generally proud to live in Royal Oak, and I think they want to show their pride. And to the extent that we can help our retailers debate that and give them priority. Folks that have brick and mortar here, from restaurants, retailers, selling it with our logo on it, giving a little cut to help raise funds for important causes. I think it's a great idea.
If the amount of Keller Husky gear I own is any indication, there's definitely demand.
Mr. Colo?
Yeah, so just piggyback on that logo thing, if I recall, when Meyer at Woodward Corners applied, they wanted a logo on their wall, and they were denied. And I think wasn't direction given to come up with I thought the commission at the time had asked staff to come up with an idea of how we can license the logo. I think that isn't that one of the big hurdles at this point.
Yeah.
It is. I'll jump in. I know that there was some initial work, but there isn't anything that's finalized. So I think that topic has actually come up in a different context. So I think we need to brush this off and finalize it and bring it back for future consideration.
Perfect. Hey guys, just a little bit about the administration of the meeting here. This is a little bit more casual. So I have a lot of, as you can see, I'm not going to be able to see everybody's hand maybe going up. I'm doing my best, but I won't be able to focus myself if I'm just looking for everyone. So feel free just to chime in. And if there's, some big debate or, it gets out of control, I'll bring the gavel in, which I don't suspect will happen. But just feel free to speak up.
What would people think about going to first names? If in our typical planning sessions, they're very informal and we go by first names, it would be so much easier. Thumbs up if you agree. All right.
Although we can go by nicknames.
Douglas.
Let's not go by nicknames. Mostly for Chief O'Donoghue's benefit, let's not go by nicknames. The first names are good.
So
I would add this is being recorded for the public too, so they will be watching it later. You might want to see the name, first and last name.
So one thing about the Royal Oak Civic Foundation, part of our kickoff includes a brand new logo, which was created by a student in the OCC design school. And if I can share my screen, I could show it to you. I'm not sure if that is available. James or Carol, is that something we can do?
I'm not sure, but if you share it with me, I will. If there's a link that you put in the chat, I can definitely share it.
I can put it on my screen, I believe, too. Just on the screen, just a second.
Yeah, do you have the logo handy? Thinking about branding and items, there might be an ability to do both logos. So there it is. Thank you, Carol. It's a little bit squashed. So in real life, in real format, it's slightly more svelte.
One question on that. I did great work. Appreciate all the effort. Just I know we had sort of and I know this is part of the city. Was there consideration given as far as our logo standards with the new, the RO and the branding and all that, Ms. Linesbricker? I'm not trying to rain on the parade, but just it's not an issue, per se for this, but we established kind of all those standards and everything, so every department didn't kind of go off and create their own logos. Is that something that was? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So to continue the separation of the 501c3 as its own entity, we decided that we would move on with a standalone logo that was not the Circle RO for the city. Perfect. But considered using colors from the city's color scheme. So both of those colors there, the kind of aqua blue and the orange, are from our own branding colors as the city.
Good thought. This will make sure you put a lot of thought into that. Thank you. Makes sense.
Yep, thanks for the question. So again, if you come up with any thoughts about this summary, feel free to email me. I'd be happy again to change, make additions or deletions. And again, thank you very much for the time. And we were really impressed and pleasantly surprised at the answers and how they all panned out. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much. All right, that was a good warm up to kind of thinking in those more broad terms, just like the foundation items that you provided. So what I'm going to try and do now is share my screen. All right, hopefully everyone's seeing a screen and it's just looks like an Excel file. It's a Google Sheet. I just want to kind of introduce our next item and use this as I go through. What I'm going to do, and it's really important if everybody doesn't have their chat open now, to please open their chat, because eventually I'm going to be putting a link to this spreadsheet in your chat. And so you're going to have to click on it and then be taken to it. I'm just going to introduce this, and then I can provide more background on it. Along the bottom of the sheet, and you can just watch my screen, you see new other goals, and then next to it, goal 1 infrastructure, and then goal 1 infrastructure discussion, goal 1 infrastructure revision. That proceeds along the bottom of the spreadsheet for each of our 8 goals. The first goal infrastructure progress report is actually comments from the staff that that should bring the commission and other staff members up to date on where you are with this goal. We did provide them time to put this together. The goal 1 and goal 2 are definitely larger in terms of the items than the others, but there should be adequate time when you go into your group to review in less than probably 5 to 10 minutes the actual report out in written form from each of the responsible department or individuals. The sheet next to it, they're all called goal number, in this case 1, infrastructure. This sheet will have the results from feedback that the commission gave on the goal, including the importance, if there's anything that should be updated, the status for each of the objectives, and then anything that should be changed or added in the objectives, again, collected in written form. This sheet you'll see here on rows I, J, K, L, etc. When I break you into groups, your group will have a name at the top here. Your group will have a name right under comments and discussion. And under there, what I'd like you to do as a group, and the groups will be about 4 to 5 individuals, so it'd be much easier rather than talking over each other. Provide comments or discussions on the feedback received from the commission. In this part, I would also ask if you had comments on progress as it relates to one of the objectives. That can just be written right in the cells underneath your name, your named group. And we'll review this again, but in the last tab is any revisions we may want to do to what is in the existing goals and objectives document. You all have a hard copy, or at least it was sent digitally with the agenda of the goals and objectives document as it was provided last, or it was finalized last year. This should follow along. I've reorganized it a little bit just to make it a little more readable on an Excel spreadsheet. And again, your team is going to go ahead and give comments on changes that we would like to make. The way I have this planned is, I'm going to stop sharing for the moment, is I'm going to divide you into groups. You will then be assigned one of the goals to work on. I'll review before I drop you back into your teams that the expectations again. And then after about 15 minutes, we're going to switch goals. So your team will go to the next goal or a goal that I'll assign to you. You'll do the same thing. The goal is to try and obviously break up a lot of folks to be able to provide a lot of information most efficient as we can. I'm really open to feedback, especially after we come back together, after you take a look at your first goal, on ways to modify slightly. I'd ask that you do that in the chat. It may be easier than, especially if there's a lot of suggestions, and we can go forward from there. But what I want to do first is, again, testing is important when we're on Zoom, is I have you broken out into the rooms, or on my computer I have it. I'm now going to send you to your room. I'd appreciate a smile or a smirk from everybody, just because that'll be reinforcement to me. I'm going to send you all to your rooms. Your goal, and I'll probably keep you there for 2 to 3 minutes. You know, you didn't do anything too bad yet. Your goal in those 2 to 3 minutes is to come up with a team name. Be super creative. The best team name gets a thumbs up from me. I know, great. Big reward there. So in a couple seconds, you should be dropped into a room with some of your peers.
James,
Here
before we break
Yes.
out into rooms, do you mind if I digress just a little bit? One thing I mentioned to James yesterday, and kind of maybe perhaps an underlying theme, if you'd give some thought to this. Obviously, this is my first time around and reviewing the goals, and we're taking a hard look at what was compiled prior to my start. And one concept that came to me, and the reason I'm bringing that up is yesterday morning I met with the CEO and COO of Beaumont Hospital, and I introduced to them some very specific sort of conducting regular meetings, and we kind of alluded to some of our strategic partners. So why am I bringing this up? I would suggest in any of these goals that if we can work with other entities, Beaumont Hospital seemed very open to the idea of conducting some open partnerships. And when the time is appropriate, I will be very specific in what I mean by that, of what has been successful in other communities. So I wanted you to be aware of that. And if there's ways that through there's, large employers, large entities, large other organizations, obviously we have a very strong relationship with the school district, but I view that there's many different partners that we can help further our goals. So I wanted to put that out in front of you, and if you can give some thought to that, and that mentions that if there's things that we can work with collaboratively with our strategic partners to help us further our goals. So James, thank you for letting me interject, and wanted to share that with you. And it was kind of coincidental, but nevertheless, the hospital, they're going to be going through a strategic plan, and it was eye-opening for them to really think of us as a partner. And so I see this as an opportunity. So
Great point, Paul. And I'd also like to take a minute here. I see that we've been joined by the esteemed state representative, Mr. Jim Ellison. And I'd just like to take a moment to recognize his presence here today, to listen in. And I don't know, Mr. Ellison, I'll afford you as a former mayor and our state rep, if you want to say anything right now to the team, feel free. If not, we're just grateful that you can kind of see what we're doing as a city and take back those messages to Lansing.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. That's exactly what I want to do. I just want to listen in to see what the city's planning for the future, so that I can adjust whatever legislation I need to help you in your task. So I just thought I'd sit in and listen to what's going on.
Especially with your committee assignment, the important influence that you can have for municipalities, and just with your experience, but also the committees that you sit on, I think are even more relevant. So we're very grateful for you doing that today.
Yeah, that's a good point. For those that don't know, I am the minority vice chair for the local government and municipal finance. I've already talked with the committee chair, a Republican, told her my ideas. My goal this year is to fix municipal financing. I've already introduced legislation modifying the Headley Amendment roll-up provision. So that is kind of the path we're going to follow, as well as anything else that's going to affect local government. So I will stop talking. You guys go on with your meeting. Thanks for having me in.
Thanks, Jim. And thank you for those efforts.
All right. Thank you very much, Mayor and Paul, for those comments. So we're going to be dropped into our rooms now. You will be in a room with between 4 to 5 of your peers, and I will bring you back. You don't have to do anything to leave the room in about 2 to 3 minutes. So let's have it a solid 3 minutes, and that's when you can expect to come back. Come up with a group name or a team name. All right, we have successfully broken out and broken back in. I should have also instructed you, and I hope I don't say I should have a lot during today, but I should have instructed you to pick one person to kind of speak for your group, to provide us your team name. Again, this is testing, making sure our technology is working right. And then this team name, though, you'll be stuck with it for a few hours now. So hopefully it's a good one. We're going to go, and I'm going to ask team 1, which right now I have as the team where the mayor was, to give me a team name.
All right, well, we're blessed with a celebrity, Judy Davids, and so I will let her be the one to express the name in the spirit of both her current and past roles as a local celebrity and actually national celebrity.
Well, we have a band name. We are Judy and the Headaches.
Wait a minute. Don't you need some Midol to cure those headaches?
Well, that's where the discussion started. That's where it started.
All right, success. All right, the next group I have is group 2, but it is Dennis's group.
Melanie, do you want to do the honors since you chose the second part of it?
Put two things together that people said, but it involves spelling, so I'm going to put it in the chat. It's the Centennial Accelerators, but like excel, like we excel. That's all we got. Ours isn't funny.
Beautiful. All right, the next group I have is Paul's group.
We selected the green team on account of our personal connections to MSU, and also the team is staffed with people from the Environmental Advisory Board. 3 of the 4.
And me.
Yep, and Paul.
Wow, I did not intentionally know that, do that, or have any way to facilitate all y'all being together. All right, I've got Kyle's group as the next. Commissioner.
Yeah, we landed on the very inspired name, Team Awesome. It's succinct and describes us perfectly.
That is literally an awesome name.
Oh, we should have went with the cool kids.
I told you.
All right. I got Team Humble here, and next I've got Chief Donahue, your group.
In light of February 1st, the deadline that's coming up, we went with the Royal Oak Rollers, right?
All right. What kind of rolling, Chief? Was that?
Exactly. I'll leave that to you. We're going to roll through the goal setting session is my thought, and maybe some of the others felt they were going to roll something different. So
awesome. Give me 2 seconds to actually, what I'll do is go back to sharing my screen and give some instruction for you to drop in. A couple of notes for those that are attending. We've decided to use a Zoom format that allows us to drop into rooms. The strength of that is it really facilitates the opportunity for folks to express themselves, gather data, bring it together in a very conducive way, as opposed to have a Zoom with over 20 people talking at the same time. Unfortunately, the recording of the Zoom will be the center room, not the breakout rooms. The technology just isn't there for each of the rooms to be recorded. So those that come back and watch this on a recording, you're not going to see much when we break out into room. You will see folks when they come back together. We're using the best technology we have to do the best facilitated goals and objectives meeting we can, but that is something you should be aware of as you're watching the meeting. The documents that are produced, and this is both for participants and viewers, are fully public. So whatever the brainstorming that comes through on the Google Sheets that we'll be working on today, which is the conversations that's going on in these rooms that we're breaking out to, all of that will be completely public. I'm sure the city will make that available to the public in a very clear way, but I did want to make that comment.
Yeah, and James, I'll just add to that. I mean, we are working in the spirit as best we can with transparency, and arguably, you know, we did this last year. If the team remembers, we had it filmed in the central room, similar to what we're doing right now. But it's physically impossible to, you know, even with that camera that was in the room, to listen to every single conversation that was going on when we were broken out in rooms, anyways. So, you know, I don't see a big difference there. As far as you know, how we perform these sessions in the past. So in years past, we never even had video. Last time we had some video, but again, the breakout rooms, unless you have 5 extra cameramen there, I don't know how you're going to do it, which is similar to today.
Thank you very much, Mayor. So going back to now that you've got familiar with your groups and have your team names, my instruction to you, and I will post this in the chat, and everyone should still see my chat posts even as you're in the room, and I may be providing directions, so please do keep an eye on that chat. I would ask that each team have someone be their spokesperson for when we come back together. That'll just be easier because I won't be calling on individuals any longer. I will be calling on teams to report out. The share screen that you have, I'm asking that the teams focus on the first 2 tabs. So you will be assigned a goal. For example, Team Awesome might be assigned goal 1, and that will be in the chat. Each team and their goal will be assigned in the chat. The team members should click the link to the spreadsheet, which will also be in the chat. Go through and review individually, probably reading it and as a team, the updates that staff has provided. So that's the first goal 1 tab. And then this discussion tab, the second one for each of the goals, underneath your team name, which will be at the top by the time you get in group, or I will be populating it as you get into group, and provide comments and discussion. You can start at the top and all of you have access to it and can just start writing. You can align it with the information that's kind of to the left, or you can comment on, you will be having to toggle back, comment on the actual progress made to this point. The goals are really, or my goal is really that you focus on the goals and objectives as opposed to the actions or activities. We will get to that later in the day. So I will be quiet for a moment and ask if you have any questions before I start dropping things into the chat and sending you back to your rooms.
How long until we for this?
Thank you. I'm going to say it's going to be 15 minutes. But I would appreciate feedback on the chat from individuals. If you're in your room and you're feeling rushed, please shoot me a note and I'll extend it. If you're in your room and you're kind of just hanging out, please shoot me a note and I'll end early if I get enough of those notes. Please be warned though, it's kind of like, I forget, is it the Constitution where they put a lot of effort into the first few articles and then they kind of got tired on the last articles? Your goals are really heavy on goal 1, 2, and 3, and light on goals 6 and 7 in particular, I think. So there will be some variance in how long it's going to take you to get through the first 2 tabs for each goal. I hope that answered your question. But again, please have feedback. If this was normal, I could kind of use body language. I could understand where you're at. I may drop in and out of your teams, but I will definitely be monitoring the Google Doc to kind of see if things are still progressing. But use the chat to communicate to me. I think I've waited exactly the right amount of time in the Zoom culture for questions. I will now be putting in the chat. And again, if you're on this as a visitor, you can look at, and in fact, if you can view the sheet. It's a public sheet. So hang on one second. I'm going to copy the link. And everyone that has a copy to this link will be able to edit it. So please be aware of that. If everyone wouldn't mind, you can test it when you want. If you can't, if it's not working for you, send me a note on the chat. And I see folks populating it right now. Please give me 1 minute so I can make sure that each of the goal has each of the teams on it. So I will need an administrative moment.
Hey, while we're taking that moment, it looks like Chief O'Donohue's in his new office. So that's kind of exciting.
Yep, we made that announcement early on. I don't think you were in yet, but we moved in on Wednesday, and it is. We're actually thrilled to be in here. It's things. The move has gone a lot better than we could have hoped. Everything's going really well. So.
I really like what you've done with the decor in your office, Chief O'Donohue.
I'll have you know, my oldest daughter stopped by for a visit because she knew I'd screw it up. So she's going to handle that for me. So.
You know, I'm worried because Dave Gillum did the same thing. If you remember, he had nothing on the wall for like a month or so. Then all of a sudden he's in Wolverine Lake. So
you're stuck with me, I'm afraid. Sorry.
Don't worry, I'll help you when things clear up here. I'll help you with your with your interior design there, Chief.
All right.
I just posted in chat your group name and your goal is your first goal assignment. I will be dropping you into rooms to work on that in a moment. If you have any questions, now's the time.
James, I'm working. I don't have a camera on my desktop, so I'm working off an iPad. So I was going to sign in twice on my desktop. Is there a way you could link me once I figure out if I can do that? I don't even know.
For sure. If you jump on, if you jump on again, as long as it's your name or close to your name, I will see that and I can put you in the same group.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure I can.
I did the same thing. I mean, just log in from your desktop and James will see you and admit you like he did me.
Give me 30 more seconds, please. All right, I think we're ready. One of the other downsides of using Google Sheets as opposed to Word or Google Docs is there's no spell check. And I am the worst spelling individual that you have ever met. So Ask that you excuse any spelling errors that I have made already in the sheets or with the names or anything else, and I will do the same for you. By the time this is a final document, we'll have it all cleaned up. But I am opening rooms in 5 seconds. If anyone doesn't have anything else, you will start to see yourself in a room. Please find your name and your goal and start making comments in the sheets labeled discussion. But remember, first you will read the progress report as a group before you move on to discussion. About 15 minutes, but I will keep you updated through chat. 5, 4, 3, 2, I'm opening the rooms. All right, it looks like we're all back. Technology-wise, things went okay, not perfectly. There was a couple hiccups that hopefully we work through. First, thank you for your patience as we work through all of the pieces of this. But what I'd ask you to do is we're going to take a 5-minute break. As the Chief O'Donnell reminded me, everybody did say they were drinking coffee, so I appreciate his reminder that there may be some time needed. So take a 5-minute break, but in that 5-minute break, do what you got to do. But also, if you have any comments, unfortunately, you can't access the chat in the rooms. I didn't realize that. Please put, and you can direct them right to me or to the group, any chat comments you have on improving process. I don't want to hear what you talked about, but if there was not enough time, too much time, anything that I can do on the facilitative end when we drop into our next groups, as you probably figure out you're going to go to the next goal, I would sincerely appreciate that. But it is 10:39 now. We will return at 10:44. All right, welcome back. Hopefully we're all refreshed. I did get some good comments. One of the things I should have pointed out earlier, and I appreciate the reminder, there are 8 goals in 5 groups. So generally I got some pretty good feedback that the time was about right to spend on the goals, but going back to what I stated, there are 5 teams and 8 goals. So at the end, as you work through goals 6, 7, and 8 as teams, you will have time to go back to those earlier goals that are bigger and more robust, and kind of look at all of them as a whole. Well, so just so I can explain, so someone's going to be working on goal 8. We will have an opportunity for other teams to go back and review their earlier responses or add to that. And then we will come all together and look at them as a group. But if you got rushed out of your first because you're on goal 1, 2, or 3, and you will have a chance to go back. And again, I'll leave that as an open invitation. Once you've completed a goal, if your team agrees to go back to the other cell, you won't mess up the other teams because they're working in their column. So feel free to go back to another goal if you need to, if you were rushed out of the first. I will pause for any questions. All right, everyone take a look at the chat to know what the goal is that your team is going to be working on next. Again, if there are any technical difficulties, if there should be an invite host to the room on the bottom of your screen once you get to your rooms, please feel free to invite me at any time. You are now being sent. All right, I think we're all back. Hopefully that was enough time, but remember you can go back and work on prior goals. And I also think you're probably solving lots of problems generally. One of the group told me they'd solved all the problems in the city already. So, you know, we all can go home, or I guess
you're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah. Team 2 to the rescue.
We can go home if I don't know, I guess that doesn't make sense anymore. So we can, but I'm going to drop in your next goal. We're going to try to keep this one to about 20 minutes so we can get 2 in before we get a nice extended lunch break. And then we'll be pretty close to time. If anyone has anything to read real quick in the chat, go for it. I'm putting in the chat right now your assignments. And take note of your assignments, please. I will be breaking you out in 5, 4, 3. All right, looks like everybody is back with us. Again, feel free to use the chat to give me any feedback in terms of time or technical issues that you're having while we're here back together. If everybody can be patient, stay with me for one more round, then we'll have a nice break, but I'm sure your team members would excuse you for a 3-minute break if you really needed it right before you get started. I'm posting in the chat our next assignments. We're going to have these assignments. Then I'm going to bring you all back, and then we're going to take a break for lunch. Then we're going to come back and we'll have a couple more rounds, and then on to the next. I appreciate all the documentation that I see the teams giving in the sheets. Remember, you're having great discussions, but if someone's not transcribing it into the sheet, we're going to lose it. So please continue to be diligent about that. And if there's no questions, I'm going to go ahead and open the rooms.
It's 15, Judy, freshman 15.
All right, we're all back. Our agenda has us to do one more before lunch, but I'm feeling that's too much. I'd love to take a break. If anybody strongly objects to taking a break, a lunch break now, please let me know. So if we can take about 45 minutes, that should be enough for you to stretch your legs, get a bite to eat, maybe step outside, breathe some cold air. We'll try and get back here at 12:45. We'll finish up the last goals. As I mentioned, goals 6 and 7 will actually be done together. There's not a lot of data with those. And then each of you will have a chance to work with goal 8 for a full time, which is your sustainability goal. And I know that's consistently on your list of items to focus on. So that's what we're going to do when we get back, and then we'll take another break, and then we'll talk a little bit about activities, and then you'll be on with your day. If anybody has anything during the break, please put it in chat for me. Again, any technical feedback, any feedback whatsoever. Let's go ahead and take a break to return at 12:45.
Thanks, James.
Thank you. All right. I have successfully posted this time the assignments, and I'll just do it twice just because, if you miss it the last time, you might as well do it twice. For the teams, this will be our 5th assignment. There are 2 more after this because, as I mentioned, we're doing goals 6 and 7 together. So we're in the home stretch. Please remember to document your conversations. It's what we have left after we're done with today to do some more good work with the city and make sure that these get codified in a way that you can consider in the coming weeks. All right, any questions, please post a chat or come off mute before I drop you back into your rooms. All right, rooms are open. All right, welcome back. I could kind of tell when I cut a little short because folks are right up to the end and then they all drop in. And when I give you a little bit more time, you come in on your own. So I think I might have cut that one a minute or two shorter than the others, so I apologize. But again, a reminder, as you work through these, if you want to go back to the prior ones that you didn't have enough time for, please feel free to do so. I'm putting in the chat our next assignments. As I mentioned, this time a couple of groups or 3 groups who will have goals 7 and 6, and they will actually be working in the same sheet at the same time. But since you're in different columns, it really shouldn't matter. So try to keep your team pride to yourself and don't overwrite what somebody else is doing in their column. Yeah, exactly, Melanie. Stay in your lane. I like it. So I will put you in rooms now. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the chat as I start to open the rooms up. And we're back. So we've got one last one, and I ask everybody to bear with me. We're going to take a 15-minute break after this one. You can refill whatever you were drinking or choose another beverage because we're in the home stretch after this one. So I've got a couple of things to set up while you're in this last group. I will bring you back right around 2, or maybe a minute or 2 after 2 o'clock, and then we'll take a quick break. And then we'll jump to a little bit of discussion about the activities that go along with the goals and objectives that we've brainstormed this morning and afternoon. If there's any questions, please put them in the chat. I will start to assign you to your groups. It's the last ones you haven't done yet. All right, I think we're all back. Thank you, Kyle, for putting that link to the Instagram post about the lead projects in Royal Oak. That's awesome if anybody can touch that and check it out. So we're going to take a 15-minute break and then we're going to move on to looking at the action items. I'm not sure if Team Green gets a gold star for jumping ahead in those sheets or if they get a lump of coal for jumping ahead in the sheets beyond instruction. We'll all have to vote on that later, but Team Green, kind of okay that you did that. But we're gonna revisit that in 15 minutes. So at about 2:15, we're gonna come back together. I'll see you then. I have shared my screen so everyone can take a look at one of our revision tabs. This happens to be the sustainability revision tab. I've changed these slightly as you were working to try and modify them and maybe have this go a little bit faster than it otherwise would, while still getting good comment from the groups. I also had a chance to look at the comments that you had in the brainstorming tab, which is the discussion tab, and really, really good feedback there. How this is set up is, again, you'll find your groups up top. There's 2 columns. So this is Judy and the headaches. They have 2 columns. There's a comments and discussions column, and then a drop down tab. And it's a real quick vote. Keep it as it is, keep but update, or remove. My goal is that you kind of get through those pretty quickly. And just give quick comment on what you would like to see done with those. All the staff can hold their ears right now. What you are doing, commissioners, is setting up the work that the staff will have to do after this. My goal is during today is to really focus us on the goals and objectives, and I think we've succeeded in doing that in the discussion part. And then for those action items, or the brainstorming action items that you had placed under each goal and objective on the other tabs, I'll work with staff and we'll start building action steps or transferring those 2 action steps, verbalizing them or writing them as action steps under the appropriate goal or objective for each of the comments that you had in the brainstorming. The hope is that the resulting document will be more than just a quick update, but may look quite a bit different in how it's presented. I will also be challenging staff to make sure that our action items have reportable goals to them. You did a great job on some of your prior action steps, and some of the action steps were just a restatement of an objective. So out of this, that's where we're going. So these quick voting, don't get stuck on it. If your group can't agree or you decide to leave it, that's okay. We've got more work to do after today with staff, and then of course it'll come back to the commission for its consideration and ultimate adoption. I would like, there's really no reason to group you again. I'm sorry, not group you, put you in certain and specific goals. But sometimes if we all get into the same tab, it'll bog down. In short, you can really go to any goal that you want. I'm going to give you 30 minutes to do about half of them, and then another 30 minutes. My goal is that you've already had some robust discussion on the goals and the objectives, so you shouldn't need a lot of time to, as Melanie says, solve the world's problems. You've already done that in the brainstorming part. This is really, kind of a quick action of keep it, change it, or eliminate it. And then if you'd like to give a few points of discussion, go ahead. And as I mentioned, Team Green already showed us how to do that in their column a little bit. I don't think I crushed any of your comments as I was setting up the files, but you'll see. So if there's any questions, please turn off your mic or put it in the chat now.
I have a question, James. Is it possible, this one seems like one where it would be nice if we were all looking at the same thing and reading it. Could you make someone in each group a co-host so we can screen share or not?
Love it. I'm going to try it. You asked me that before, and I could not do that when everybody was in group, but I'm going to see if I can do multiple. You're my guinea pig, Melanie. More co-host. Yes. Ooh, I can have multiple co-hosts. Melanie, can you see that?
It looks like I can screen share now.
Beautiful. Okay, if you would like to have your group screen, if one person in your group would like to screen share, so you're all kind of looking at the same thing, just like you did on mine, shoot me a quick note in the chat and I will make a co-host. But once you leave here, I can't do that. So before you leave, please put if you would like someone in your group to screen share or multiple people in your group to screen share, looks like I can have as many co-hosts as I want. I will turn that function on for those individuals. Again, please put it in the chat before you go to your breakout rooms. And I will go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Melanie, how do you envision using that?
So that means I'm going to screen share and then we'll all be there looking at the same screen as we go down the objective. So rather than having to be like, okay, we're on 1.1.1, you read it, I read it, are we as is or not? We're all see ourselves going down the list, voting, keep as is, change, remove.
Got it.
All right. I'm going to start breaking out. If, again, you want a co-host option, thank you for that reminder, Melanie. I should have asked that earlier when you had asked. All right. Rooms are now open. All right, we're back. Thank you for your diligent work. And we have a couple of teams that will finish up their last goal after kind of we wrap this. So if you're on a team that's still diligently working, don't sign off the call. I'm going to drop you back into the rooms. For those that finished, great. When we're done, you can just drop off the call. So first, it's been a really long day, and I'm sure our rear ends are a bit sore from sitting as much as we have. But I appreciate the time you've given me and you've given each other. The goal from here, we've collected a lot of data, and hopefully we've done it in a organized way. Hopefully you liked your group members because you got to know their opinions very well today. There's obviously different ways we could have done that. We could have split up teams. We could have dropped you in randomly, but I thought it'd be good to continue those conversations through the day. hopefully, and not hopefully, I take that back. I've reviewed the comments that you've been giving, and I think they're super helpful. So my plan from here is we're going to take the data that you've provided. I'm going to do some summary and summarization, create a new sheet that has everything kind of organized a little bit better. So both the brainstorming activities from the goals and objectives, and then the commentary that we had on the action items. And, keep, drop, change, that's directional. So if one person says keep or drop or change, that doesn't mean that's what's happening. It's directional communication that you're giving to me as a facilitator, and then ultimately staff. My plan is to create that sheet that gets a nice summary, but then work with Paul to turn it back to staff to kind of formulate, especially on the action steps. So I think the goals and objectives from that the commission has set prior and has given feedback on today, we can refine those. But the action steps, including some measurables for each, really is the direction that hopefully this will go. It is a living document. This is part one. We don't plan to come together as a big group again until probably next year, unless you schedule prior. But that's my goal coming out of this. You'll also get from me a quick survey. I'm always looking to improve on this and improve from zero, I guess, because today was the first time we've been able to facilitate something like this over Zoom. I'd appreciate that feedback. So I want to turn it back to the mayor as well as Paul for any closing comments you might have. Again, I appreciate the opportunity to be with you on a great Saturday.
Thank you very much, James. I'm going to hand it over to Paul real quick. I know he probably has a few things to say, and then, I can kind of take it after Paul.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mayor. So first off, I greatly appreciate everyone's time, and really kudos to James for having this very well organized. I think we got through a lot of material, and he and I have visited a few times and kind of in preparation. So kudos, hand clap for James and his work. So thank you. I wanted to mention a housekeeping item for the Mayor and City Commission. Chief O'Donoghue has extended a tour of the new police station, and we're thinking of next week primarily because it's a little quieter in the building. We're still operating the two police stations, and there's not any prisoners that are housed at the new station. So maybe kind of shoot for midweek. I'll shoot out an email. And additionally, worthwhile to note, also will be included as part of the tour, the mural that's in City Hall. We've just installed lighting, so it looks a little different. So that's worth checking out as well. So Corey, is there one particular day, maybe if everyone can kind of look at their calendars, that might be better for you? My week is quiet. This is the good news, but I'm thinking like Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday we do have the MPS coming in town for a meeting. We can work around that. I'm not too worried about it. But I'll make myself available whenever it works, and if we could do a couple of tours if depending on the availability.
So we'll follow up with you on that, and like I said, look for an email early next week, and we'll set up a couple tours, and it's worthwhile to see if you haven't been through, or even if you have. It's pretty remarkable the changes in comparison to when the building was under construction. So that was it on my comments. So Mayor, back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. And thank you, James, for organizing today and keeping us on track with the timeline. I greatly appreciate your efforts and experience. This is going to be really productive for us, especially as we go into 2021. It will be an unconventional year. And thank you to all the staff that took time out of your busy day to come here and work. I know our breakout group, we had an amazing team with great dialogue, and felt it was very productive, as well as a reminder that we have some really good people working in our city. And, hearing and having a more casual sense to talk about things and what our goals are, and having, you know, blunt and honest conversations about what needs to be done is always a good thing, and very encouraging. I think that, you know, certainly we got our work cut out for us. We have an interesting year coming up, and we look forward to the next steps. So what I'll do is I'll open it up to any of the staff or commissioners or anybody that has anything to add or say or questions right now before we move to adjourn. Anybody got anything they want to add or say? Okay. All righty then. Then I guess, oh, I see Commissioner Douglas. Sorry, it's like the mega Brady Bunch extended. I see you now. Okay, we can't hear you though.
Well, I started to put it in the chat, but since you offered the chance to speak, I will just say that it appears that there's a Catan tournament in our post-COVID future.
For sure. Well, good. Anybody else? Great work. I think we are building on a tradition of setting an example of how to professionally manage a community. And every year we get better at it. Every year we move our city forward. We progress. And so we should all be very proud of the body of work that we do. All right. Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn? I'd say Commissioner Colo moves to adjourn. Is there a second? Second, Commissioner Douglas. Okay, discussion on the adjournment. All right, I don't see any, so I'll vote, and I will start with Commissioner Douglas.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunt.
Yes.
Commissioner Macy.
Yes.
Commissioner Colo.
Yes.
Commissioner Dubuck.
Yes.
And I vote yes. All
I
right,
vote
adjourned. Oh, Commissioner Perush, I'm sorry, this is hard. I'm going in my order. I missed you. Commissioner Perush.
no. Of course, yes.
Okay, sorry about that. This is harder for me with all these people here. All right, I guess we're adjourned now, and appreciate everybody's effort today, and we'll see you again next time.